we find answers within. Location not here. In shadows we all disappear. Hold on, switch gears. We're gone as fast as we appeared. Gone as fast as we appeared. Searching within, we've justified our sin. We're gonna take you on a ride till we find answers within. Location not here. In shadows we all disappear. Hold on, switch gears. We're gone as fast as we appeared. Gone as fast as we appeared.
Hello.
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 Hi, everyone.
How you doing?
So that was quite a good way to start the stream with our friend Callie Prodigy in chat talking about my god being pegged or something. It's just
It's
kind of
the
like
real questions.
it's just par for the course in this stream. But anyway, welcome back everybody to the show. It's been quite the week, and we're here to talk about the week that was in Anatolia. I know most of the stuff to talk about will be related to year 500 events because that's pretty much consumed the entire week, I think. So, well, not the
Yeah.
entire week, but most, it's pretty much what's going on right now. So, yeah, how has things been for you all this week?
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't participate in a lot of like non-arena stuff for like year 500 or 490 or those like decade events. But what I've participated in has been fun. Bloodbath campaigning notwithstanding. Last night's 2v2v2v2 was really fun.
The kind of events that I usually enjoy have not come up yet. They seem like they're saving those for sort of the end of the month. But I have watched people really enjoy a lot of the events that they've been going to. I watched everybody run around like chickens with their heads cut off trying to find the um the starfall, the meteorites, whichever. And it seems like people are really enjoying themselves. It seems like there's a lot going on. Oh, cool! There's more shouting. Love that.
Yep.
And it's also very cool. I think that with the whole bloodbath situation that Iesid just had to explain to me because I wasn't around for it. That they have decided to do another bloodbath to make sure that it is a little bit more fair, and it doesn't take away from the people who did really good in the first one. So I think that they're handling it really well.
Yeah, go ahead.
I could see them taking into consideration some of our feedback with the way yesterday went, because we were I'm sure we weren't the only people to do it, but at the very least over on Spirit we were planning to make it a 4v4 because that's how it usually goes anyways. And like the idea we had was conveniently disabled beforehand. So I really like that because I saw what we were going to do as an abuse case. So this time they went ahead and stopped it beforehand, like we had asked. So
That's excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't tend to like combat arena events in general, even separately from year 500 stuff. So I did not participate in the bloodbath, the aforementioned bloodbath, because of that. Um, I kind of heard about it on, what clans and webs and stuff as to what happened, but yeah, there's not really much I can add to that conversation because, like, I didn't participate, and I'm not overly surprised that it happened. So, but
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those technicality things. People are going to do things until it's technically not okay for them to do them. And both sides do this. So it's I think it's kind of the monkey brain thing where you want to see just how far you can push before your hand gets burned. I think that it's kind of, that sort of thing. But again, they're doing another bloodbath, so it's really no harm, no foul, I feel. I'm sure there are people who are still really salty and pissed about it. But, at the end of the day, you know, it's the same old PK salt and pissiness, and everybody gets it. I recently had my very first like really tilted PK experience, and then I got over it like 15 minutes later. It's like you're really angry, and then you go, it's whatever. It's a text game.
yeah,
Exactly. It is something that both sides do. It's whatever.
yeah, I agree. I agree with what Cali Prodigy said in chat. They said, speaking of someone that's played both sides extensively, both sides are as bad as each other. It happens. Yeah, I also have been there on both sides, and yes, both sides are bad at each other and stuff. But I wish I wish more people would acknowledge that, and understand it, like really understand it. It's not just one side or the other. Everybody kind of gets that way. It is what it is. Um, I don't know that there's ever any fix for it personally, but I know people wish that it could be fixed. But yeah, um, let's see what other events is there to talk about though. Let's see here.
Treasure Hunt was really cool. I'm glad someone who's relatively unknown ended up getting the platinum chest.
Who wound up getting it?
Kirshu.
Yeah, that person. I can't pronounce their name.
I used to, whenever I had my shadow character, they were in the same vampire house as me, so I know them a little bit, but it's been a long time since I've interacted with them. But
Right.
yeah.
That's good. I never that again, those are the kinds of I'm a lot more into because I'd like to craft. I'm a lot more into those than I am into the other stuff. Um but I'll probably do the duel again. Cuz that was fun last time. Uh maybe the free for all. We'll see. I don't like the bashing ones. I hate bashing. I know it's a big part of the game, but I do. I can't stand it.
Great Hunt's pretty competitive too, actually.
What does?
Great Hunts. We have one of those
Oh,
this year, right? Yeah, we do.
yeah,
It's
yeah, we
next weekend.
did.
Oh, I'm sorry. The previous one. Yeah, we had one a few months ago, I think, during October.
Yeah, there will be one in 5 days. It starts, so they'll have
Yeah.
that. I'm sure a lot of people are pretty excited about that. I know a lot of people get really into it.
Yeah, I think the first big one that I'm going to actually try and participate and do well in is next weekend for the Great Hunt because I'm saving chocolates and things like that for it. So
So here's the question. You guys played Atolia longer than I have. I don't know what the hell Champions Core is. It sounds
Right.
like Cottage Core, but I know it's not that.
Cottage core? What the hell is that? I don't even know what
It's
that is.
it's like a aesthetic, I think. Like it's you know.
Yeah.
An aesthetic.
Yeah,
I'm
Cottage Core,
lost
it's an
here now.
aesthetic.
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, see, Iesid gets it.
Yeah. It's okay. Sure. If you check the help file I just sent you, by the way,
Okay.
anybody who's played Empyrean, it plays a lot like Deathball. I know we hate that word here in Italia, but that's an actual game mode in Empyrean. Go figure. Where your goal is to hold on to a Lem core, and you gain points for doing so. But eventually, it blows up. So everyone kind of like chases after you, trying to kill you, to knock it out of your hands, and then we kind of go from there.
I see. So like you want to is this like everybody against each other? Is it teams like
It's every man for themselves, and the way the scoring is done, I would say it's tough to make it like a tether versus tether thing. I've never actually been present for one, but it sounds fun.
yeah, cuz right here it says if you're holding the core and surrounded by enemies, your point gain will double. However, teammates in the same room will decrease the amount of points you gain with each tick. So I guess it depends on if the admin decide to run it as every man for themselves or if it's going to be like a city sort of thing. Because that could be fun. I definitely like, much like with the 2v2v2v2. I definitely seems like it should be a city thing because otherwise you wind up with like the game is growing right now. Like there's a lot more people.
Yep.
But usually, and around the time I think Champions Core, let me see, is supposed to be happening. It's around a time where it will probably. Well, no, it's actually around. Well, no, it's a Monday. I was gonna say it would probably have everybody around because it's a weekend, but it is not. It's gonna be on the Monday, so
Yeah.
like it may be that like I honestly think that it seems like it's going to be at a time where more spirit side is online than shadow is, and I would prefer if it's city versus city, so that way it's a little bit more fair instead of just like one side steamrolling the other side kind of thing.
Yeah.
um
I think I will miss it due to work, but that's okay.
yeah, it does look cool though. This is like
Yeah.
it's like extreme keep away. That's
That
pretty dope.
Yeah, that's a good description of it, actually.
Yeah, it's like if when you played Keep Away with your siblings, they were allowed to pick up a sword and fucking knife you with it.
Yep.
Which, I mean, you could do it with a stick, I guess, if you were a kid. But anyway, that does look pretty cool. Maybe I might join that one. It depends. That seems pretty neat, actually. Lore quiz I won't because I am a little bitty baby compared to a lot of players. But maybe I'll watch it, learn something. What other events? Iron Epicurean. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. But you probably knew that. I
What?
love the Iron Epicurean.
Oh, the Epicurean. Oh, okay. I'll actually be here for the Epicurean. Maybe I'll participate this year. I've never actually played in one.
They're so fun. So there's a few things about the Iron Epicurean I like. Is one, I appreciate the hell out of people that are just like, my character can't cook, and that's just what it's gonna be. You're gonna get trash on a plate because I wanted to participate. I respect the hell out of that. Because they're going into it like, I'm not gonna win because I'm playing a character that can't cook. But they are so dedicated to the RP that they'll be like, this is a hockey puck on a plate that I think was meat at one point, and here you go.
Oh boy.
I think it's great. I love the Epicurean, and it's one of those things where, now look, I have continuously in the Iron Epicurean, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I get second place pretty consistently in the Iron Epicurean. So I would love to just I'm hoping that I can pull it out this year and get a first place in there. But regardless, it's always a fun time. I've never heard anybody go to an Epicurean and be like, wow, that was boring. Because it just seems like everybody has a blast. And people kind of try to RP in there too, so it is really nice. I encourage anybody who's never joined one to try it out. It's so fun. So fun.
Sure. Yeah, I've never done it myself, and I'm not sure if I will, but I like that it exists. I do like the variants and all the different events we have. There's been a lot of them I haven't want to do for various reasons. But I think that I might actually work on a bardic for the first time. I
Nice.
started typing it up the other night. It's going to be, obviously in the future because I think that's the theme, right? Year 1000 for the bardics.
I believe
I think the
so.
artisanals
Yes.
was survival or whatever.
Let me see. Where is this announced post?
Or maybe
I can look
got
on
that backwards, but I can find it too. Let's see here.
Let's recent discussions.
Let's find it. Okay.
There it is. Here we are. Year 500 artisanals.
Oh, that's the bardic and artisanal are both year 1000, and the design contest is survival.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Oh, okay. I thought that the design contest was also year 1000.
No, it looks like it's survival. Crafting competition was survive. Yeah. That kind of changes what my idea for the design may be, but it honestly,
Yeah.
I hate to no, I think I can still make something forging out of it because now I'm thinking on what I'd make for this, and I think I know exactly what part of Aetolian lore I should focus on, but now I just have to figure out how to do it in a forged item. Ugh.
Sorry, I'm talking to someone in DMs while doing this and role playing. So, but what I was gonna say is that I think I'm gonna write a story for the bardic.
Nice.
I have some ideas. I think that having a story. Well, I don't want to give it away, but I think it's pretty nose on to have a story theme set in year 1000, while also in the story currently we have a god of time. So there's a lot of things you can do with that. And I've been brainstorming. I typed up a bit of the story, but then I was like, maybe I should rethink it a bit. So it's like one of those things where you keep second guessing yourself. But
I mean, revising and editing is always important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is like mandatory of any kind of creation. I haven't started drawing yet. I keep telling myself I should, but I got Back for Blood, and it's a lot of fun. So I keep just killing zombies instead. I'll have to get on it at some point, though. But I'm interested to see what everybody comes up with because it's 500 years is a lot. Somebody will, without question, I know this to be true. Somebody will make a joke about airships. There's no way somebody won't. So we'll probably be seeing that.
There's
coming
no
down
jokes.
the line.
There's no jokes here. Airships are the future. Don't you worry.
Where
Also,
penguins,
where penguins.
says Dee Dee. Yeah. Where penguins, says Dee Dee. I'm not sure. It might give me the all the excuse I need to draw any number of Aetolian characters in some kind of sci-fi cyberpunk setting. Which seems so unlikely,
Eh,
but I'm also like, whatever, who cares?
I suddenly imagine somebody writing a story out there about like it's kind of like Aetolia, but like in the Terminator world, and the were penguins are the resistance and stuff.
I fought in the following years. Excellent. Goblin Revolution. Particular, I feel like Iesid's Goblin would be leading that. Honestly,
Absolutely, 100%.
His goblin is
uh,
John Connor, and Iesid is
like
Sarah
he
Connor.
would be leading that revolution. And honestly, the revolution, I think, in his mind, isn't against anybody but Iesid.
Wait,
The Goblin
Iesid,
Revolution is just against Iesid.
Iesid is Skynet. No.
I
Oh,
love
good.
that goblin. I know I say it every time,
You
but
sure
I do
do.
love him. I love him. He's so just like his comedic timing is through the roof. I'll never be funnier than that goblin.
I don't know.
It's pretty spot on, but I'm pretty sure it's like a set tick. So as long as you make sure that something funny is happening at that moment, you can use it to your advantage. Not saying I'm smart enough to do that.
Right. It just seems to have really perfect, like, I guess luck is what we'll call it. Because you'll be in the middle, because I've seen you be in the middle of a very serious conversation. And then this goblin shows up and basically tells you to choke on whatever he's handing you. And it's like, whoa, fantastic. Amazing, incredible. And then a bunch of people buy shit from him. Incredible. I love that goblin.
Oh boy.
Is anybody so Iesid, are you doing anything for the Bardics or the Artisanals?
Maybe I'll do something for the Bardic this year. I haven't really thought of anything, so I don't know. Maybe for design though. Now that I know it's survive, because I thought it was year 1000.
Right. Yeah, the Survive should be that should be Durin's whole shit. Everybody in Durin should be entering this design contest because it's just Survive, and that's like your guy's whole shtick. I'm curious to see what people come up with. I'm hoping that there's more than just me doing forging, but again, I understand that it can sometimes be difficult, particularly when you can do paintings or you can do any number of things. I understand that like forging can be hard to sometimes get these things across with. But I look forward to the challenge.
You know what I look forward to spectating, but absolutely not participating in at all?
What?
The lore quiz.
Yeah, same here.
I
I
don't
hope to learn
know.
something.
Yeah, that's exactly why I want to spectate, because like I don't know nearly enough about the lore to feel like I could even halfway come close to winning. But
It's gonna be somebody who's ancient, like it's gonna be like Zavin or Benedicto or something. Don't tell Benedicto I said that. He can still beat my ass. But it's gonna be somebody who's been playing for a long time, I think, and rightly so. Although there are some younger players who seem to really, really dig deep on lore before they make their character, which is very impressive. It's very cool that they do that, and I like lore as much as the next person. But I'm also like, I'm kind of dedicated to my RP in that Rasani will know old Templar lore, but she's not gonna go around snooping on other people's shit. Like, she was born at this point, and she might barely know some things that happened while she was a young person. But, it's basically from her creation onward is where I go, that's really what she should be a master in knowing and understanding. But I won't be super nosy. I can't. And there's some things, Templar stuff. Although the Albedi stuff, she's now looking pretty deep into. But that's because we have this whole big thing with the Albedi right now. And that's kind of like her job to know and to do things like that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, actually. I know this is unrelated to the year 500, and I'll get back to that in a second. Enorian has not yet really talked at length about what we saw at the confluence.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've noticed that as well.
Has Durin?
So kind like not as a whole organization, I would say.
Right, like
Some
some people in pockets are
Yeah.
having conversations. Yeah.
I would say the conversations that Durin's having, where they're having them is inside the orders of the two gods on their advisory. And like
Yeah.
bits of that have been like coming out. I had someone from Shadow approach Sid like a couple days ago, and he dropped that whole bomb on them. And I'm kind of looking forward to what they do with it. But at least at least one person outside the order now understands like where Ome stands on it.
Right. Well, it's interesting because Ome and Ethne have very similar opinions from what I've heard on the matter. That is, we need to look into it.
Mhm.
Maybe we were wrong. Don't Yeah, and most interestingly, don't trust Bamathis.
Right.
Because when he first came up, uh, it was almost the exact opposite. Even Damariel at the time was telling us that we have to work with him.
Yeah.
So it's now sort of flipping, which is nice. I think that will give people because I know a lot of people were frustrated that we had this big thing that we had to work together on solving. And in some cases, we probably still will have to do that. There will still be gods, El Beatty gods that come to fuck us up that we will have to work together on. However, I do suspect that we'll start to see more of a need for it. Won't just be, oh, the Grey Accords. It will be, no, you fucked us over when it came to Yavalamon. You fucking, you did this. So now you have to convince us to work with you. And I think it'll be interesting and good for the game to have that. I know a lot of people were frustrated that they had to play nice with people that they don't like.
I'm hoping, I'm greatly hoping, as order head in the Mariel's order now, that when he comes around next, I might get some kind of talk or exposition about the confluence stuff, because obviously Lanos was mentioned quite a bit in that, and I'd also just like to in character get his opinion on the things you just mentioned, like Bamathis, and like, are we supposed to work with him, like what what the deal is, because you know that would be nice to know. But I understand that the whoever or persons that have been playing the Mario are kind of on on him sporadically, because he kind of mentions it to me every time he comes on, like, oh, I have matters that you don't know about and things like that, and I'm cool with that. It's just I have a lot of things to ask him in character when I see him again, whenever that is.
I suspect that there may also, honestly, I suspect part of it may also be that he might be a god similar to Severn in that he doesn't show up a lot because he essentially,
Right.
like Severn, knows the truth and knows everything.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to find that balance. Red Halo, I've always assumed that's how you say Yavalamon. I'm sure somebody else will tell me that I'm saying it like a stupid American, but I mean, I am what I am, so that's whatever.
Hey, correct.
But you know, um, yeah, no, I am shocked really by how little people have, and I think it makes sense in character that people would kind of not want to talk about it because it's such a big revelation. But I'll be interested to see when it does finally come out, because we're at this ceasefire right now, and I suspect any conversation that the orcs could have across tethers would just lead to the war starting up again. So it'll be interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I don't remember how we got here.
Yeah, we can circle back to Y500, or we can just keep talking about this stuff. there was some things that happened during the week that were interesting, at least to me. Like, I almost forgot, but how could I forget that me and Rasani actually got to emote at each other for a little while for the first time in forever? That was kind of
Yeah,
cool. I
yeah,
enjoyed
that's
that.
true.
You guys are out like PKing people
Oh
too.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I
Oh,
forgot
yeah,
about that
it's
too. Well, you
I'm
know.
I'm a I'm involved in a back and forth with Weirin,
Oh, you don't
because I
say.
should I badmouth Bamathus because he sucks,
Right.
and then Weirin came after me, and then I went to go get him, and then he called somebody in to protect him. So then I went. It's now become this big thing where it's like, well, we can't get to a point where one-on-one makes sense, because we keep doing things that offend each other. So we're like, I want to kill him regardless, which is interesting. So eventually, at some point, he'll be out and about, and I'll go kill him, and it'll start back up over again. But I know that's going on. There's been a lot of shouting lately that has led to a lot of just a lot of PK based around shouting.
Right.
Um,
Hey, Durif.
and
Thanks for the
you know,
follow, Scandlin. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I just wanted to greet everyone that's joined and stuff, and
Oh, I see. I
thanks
see.
Scanlin for the follow.
Um,
Also, my real life friend Lozenge Nods followed. He's going to work on something for me, like making a program for me for the stream that helps me with some things. So,
oh, nice. But yeah, there's been a lot of PK lately, which I think is good. Um, I think it'll probably just continue, um, in these little ways, which is nice because the PK like this, where it's like once in a while, is a lot more manageable for somebody like me who doesn't really play to PK. I enjoy PK sometimes, but I play to role play and to craft. It's a lot more manageable and enjoyable for me, uh, than the war was, because the war was just constant. It was all the time, which I know a lot of people had fun with, and I don't want to disparage that because it was fun for a bit. It just, it's the I can have the occasional 2 days straight of PK, but after that, I'm like, this is boring.
right. Well, the thing with Weirin, and obviously I have a little expertise in dealing with Weirin at this point, um, is like he's got me a couple times, but I've also got him a bunch of times, and it's like, what does it go on forever? Is it supposed to? Am I supposed to care if it goes on forever? I don't know, and like at what point? Because like I feel like I get him a lot more than he gets me. So is it like griefing after a certain point? I don't know. Like it's just I don't want to. I don't want to make anybody feel bad by
he,
killing them.
he's he's very open to talk to out of character. Like he got me, and this is what caused my salt because I was unaware of how Weirin was playing and that sort of thing, and he came in while I was sitting and role playing, and I basically said, "Hey, dude, let me just stand up, and then this can be an actual fight instead of you getting like an insta kill on me because I'm prone and you're axe kicking." And I got wicked salty about that. And I reached out to him. We talked about it, and it wound up being fine. If you're worried about that, reach out to him because he was very easy to talk to. It was very easy to go, hey, maybe we can pick this up later, but right now I'm super tilted and I don't want to say or do anything that I will regret doing later. I want to PK with you for it to be fun, not because I'm pissed at you. And he was very open and reasonable and understanding of that. So if you're worried about it, I would just reach out to him and talk to him, honestly.
Yeah, I've enjoyed making killing him a regular part of my day in the morning before I go to work when there's like nobody on. And
damn.
well, I mean, I do like I get up maybe like an hour and a half before I have to be at work, and I get on Ayatollah. I'm like, oh, he's out in the open. Oh, look at that. There's nobody on but me and him and a few other people.
So I think player versus player rivalries and like strictly in character animosity makes the game way more interesting, like day to
for
day.
sure.
So, like when I watch either of your characters go at it with Warren, I find it really, really, really funny. Like I'm sitting there chuckling. Like I laugh just as much when he gets you guys as when you guys get him, because it makes the game feel more alive. I
Oh,
absolutely love it.
certainly. My favorite rivalry, because I've had a few. I think my favorite is the okay, so this takes a little bit of explaining. Uh at some point there were a lot more taverns in Esterport than there are. Because there's a few in Esterport, but at one point almost every lease shop was a tavern. So the taverns in Esterport were all kind of rivals with each other. So like I would put posters up in other taverns from my tavern, and then they would, do the same, or they would leave drinks from their tavern around my tavern because they know people are going to take drinks from them instead of buying drinks from me, like if there's free drinks laying around. That I think was my favorite because it was just like these basically, anybody who's ascended is essentially a demigod, and we're just going around being petty little shitheads to each other because we want to sell alcohol. That was
tracks.
great. I loved that. It was fantastic. That kind of stuff is a lot of fun.
Yep. Well, Wyatt said humble brag time. I can only assume that meant about what I said about Weirin. You know, I have to poke back at him a little bit since he pokes at me all the time in a really loud way. So
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This kind of PK is a lot more fun for me. The kind
Yeah.
of like once in a while RP based, and not that the war wasn't RP based; it was entirely. um, but at a certain point, it's like on day 7 of nonstop PK, it becomes kind of boring. It's the same stuff over and over again. And I'm hoping that with a war system where it's got objectives and stuff like that, it'll stop being that way. It'll be more interesting. But I think that that'll take some while to develop something that is fair and fun, and because that at the end of the day is and XP loss. That I don't particularly care about XP loss, but I'm not trying to reach like level 200.
right.
So that doesn't matter much to me, but I know a lot of people are. If I get to level 200, whatever, I'm not trying to. That's not why I'm playing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I
It'll,
like. Well, I just wanted to mention that I've come to realize, and I've known this for a while, but like it's really prominent in the last few months. I really prefer like open world stuff and PvP to like arena events and sect and all that. It's much more interesting to me to do that sort of thing. So like I really like that we've had more and more opportunities for it, and that it's also not devolving into anything negative.
for sure. Yeah, I haven't seen anything that I would classify as griefing, which is good. Because for a while, at certain points in the game, I have noticed things that I would certainly call griefing. Um, so you know, it's one of those things where I'm glad that we have grown as a community past that. And I'm also glad that as a community, we kind of understand, like, if a newbie mouths off to you, maybe you don't have to prove that you got the biggest sword on the playground by killing them. Like, it's I'm also glad that I will now get people who come to PK me that will RP with me first. That is 100% a way to get me to fight with you more. If you want me to fight you, make me care about it. Because I don't care if you come in with 3 people and run your systems and pike my head somewhere. I don't give a fuck about that. But if you give me a story to hang on to, then yeah, we can PK each other a lot.
Right.
Like, that's just sort of where I'm at, and I'm glad to see that that's more prevalent. People aren't just like, well, if I go in and attack, without saying anything, I have a better chance of winning. It's more, I'm going to say something and role play at you. And if PK comes from it, that's great. If it doesn't, well, I've started this thread that means that I'll be able to fight you later.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask, Iesid, I know you wanted to talk about something in particular before you left. Would you like to talk about what Red Halo just said, who is Akan, about the war system, before we get into what you want to talk about?
Oh, I mean, short story. Yeah, I agree. Empyrean's rating system was awful.
Right.
Because like that's what it reads like to me. That's what I think of the moment I read that entire paragraph. Honestly, I can't even really remember what I wanted to talk about. I think we covered it already.
Yeah. I think 2v2v2v2v2v2 is what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we already talked about it.
Yeah.
Like so it's that simple. I will say I'm wondering when the next class lead season is, because that will probably be the next time I will be on the stream. So whenever that happens, I do look forward to being here. But aside from that, I think I'm good.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with the war system, and I hope we get it or get part of it before the next war, or before the war continues. I know that's probably I don't know if that's possible or not with all the work they're having to put into this month's events, but I would like to see that, because I'm with a lot of people. I don't like the lack of objectives. I don't mind the fighting just to fight, but I'd like there to be like some kind of way to end it. And I think objectives are good at that.
Well, I think, I think a way to end it is important because, again, this is a problem that both sides have. Nobody wants to admit when they've lost. And that's fair because people don't like losing, you know? And I get a lot of people who be like, no, I love it when I lose. It's like, you clearly don't, because when it comes to these wars and these raids and stuff, nobody will admit that they have lost anything. So, it becomes this cycle where eventually, people get tired and people get burnt out. And historically, it has been that the goal was to burn people out.
Right.
Because then they would stop and then you got to shout about how much better you were and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It seems like people weren't trying to burn other people out, which is nice. I know that there was that whole long forum thread that was just a bunch of people yammering about bullshit. And I'm going to, considering nobody did anything with the intent to burn people out, I will say that anything that was said to that nature is basically, big talk in the middle of like a frustrating PK thing. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt because nobody actually did anything with the intent to burn other people out. So it, I think that that's sort of the problem, and everybody wants there to be a solution where you go, okay, we have won, so now we can move on to the aftermath RP part of it. And that should be part of it. A war system, I don't think, is complete without some kind of, something in the aftermath. There has to be diplomatic talk. We beat you, so this is what we are taking from you, or this is what we are doing because we have won. Even if it's something like we fought over Villamo Fields, so now Bloodlock, you don't own it anymore. It's one of our protectorates now, and we get to kick all the vampires out, and we get to do something to that area, raise it in holy fire, whatever it is we want to do.
Right.
So, there has to be, I think it can't just be, here's the objectives of how you win the war. It has to also be, okay, this is what the winning side has decided winning this war means.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean give me all your commodities or give me all your gold or anything like that, because that's asinine. But what you were fighting over should matter in the end. Because if all it is, hey, we beat you in PK a bunch of times and that's it. It just doesn't make any sense. There has to be some kind of follow-up.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that in the past, the way things have worked has mostly been, you win bragging rights, and I don't think that that's a good thing to just have be, forever. Like as far as like that be the only thing you get from doing it, like you said. I just don't think that that's a good way to continue on. I think that even though everybody and I'm gonna start out by saying this, and I know everybody's gonna groan when I mention this, but let me finish. Um, I think that when it comes to like orrery, I think that the idea of having a thing you fight over for a period of time and then it locks for a little while is kind of a good basis to create something like that on. Not the other way that Ori is that we all hate, where it's just like one area over and over, and it's like the same mechanic repeatedly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but like I like the idea of like winning an objective like that, and then it's locked for a while.
Right. Right. I gotcha. I definitely think that there are things in orrery that can be tweaked and used and changed to make something more interesting. Um, orrery itself is not super interesting, but it is another method of PK people have, and I know it's one of those things where you get the constant like, hey, we want organic PK. But I also think that I don't know. I think if you wanted more organic PK, you would role play before you PK'd people. You know,
Mhm.
I hear some of the people that I hear going, "Well, I want organic PK." Don't say a lick of anything before they just come after you and take your head off. And it's like you don't want organic PK. You want a free pass to just kill people. And those are two very different things. And if you just admit that, then that's like fine. Like just admit that that's what you want, and then we can try and create an area where people can just go to fight each other all the time. But you already have that in the fracture, so I don't know.
So
But
fracture. So the reason why fracture isn't like attractive is because people really don't really bash it that much. They like go in maybe to get the honors line, but I don't see a lot of people go in there. It's really like if I had a way to know when people were in Vortex, I might jump people in Vortex. But the like crucial element of any open PK area like that is going to be there being an undeniable attraction to going to it,
Right.
which is a hard balancing act because like when it starts feeling necessary, things can get a little miserable. But I would really like to see something a little more modern that is open PK like that.
honestly, and maybe this is uh, one of those things where it's like it sounds too simple to actually work. I don't see why there isn't just a toggle like you have the RP who. Just PK who. If you're open to PK at any point in time, toggle yourself that way. And then you guys can just go kill each other all you want. Like,
These
there's,
days, these days we call that defilement aura.
well, yes. But, like, there are some
Nice.
people who I'm sure would be interested in it that aren't necessarily interested in
man.
all the other aspects of a holy war. Because let's be honest with each other. Holy wars are slogs.
Well,
You know what I mean? It's just like, ugh.
what I was gonna
So-
say is, as far as holy wars go, there's been all kinds of defilement auras going around the last month or so, or even longer than that, and nobody's declared holy war recently. So,
So
That's
there
true.
are reasons for that for some
oh, I
words.
know. I'm fine with it not being declared. I'm just saying, like, it's more like what you said. That's what we call that nowadays, defilement aura, because it's like that's what it's being used for.
I think it's important that like opting into the PK has a purpose aside from being open PK because like I don't think that really changes anyone's gameplay. Like the way to get someone like into the actual like moment of PKing is to give them like a very crucial reason to leave their safe spaces like cities, guild halls, houses, um, unreachable order rooms, stuff like that.
Well, I would agree, but I'll also say like the people who argue that they want organic PK the most are usually the ones hiding in their houses or their cities or their order rooms or
Yes.
that sort of thing. So I'm sitting here like you said you want organic PK, but what you really want is to shout about it and then not do anything.
That's pretty thinly veiled, but continue.
Not really. I and this isn't at anybody that I've had any personal dealing with. So many people shout right now that I
Yeah.
could be talking about half the game,
Yeah,
and you
fair
have
enough.
no idea who I'm talking about.
I have some ideas, but go on.
So it's I just think that I think that yes, I agree that there has to be some reason for you to go and want to go into this area where you could be PK'd. But I don't think creating an area like that would really change anything, because I don't think that I think what people sometimes want, like I do think that there are people who want organic PK, and there are a lot of them, because I've recently, now that things are a little bit less toxic in the Atolian community, I've run into them. But I also think there's some people who say they want organic PK, but what they really mean is I want easy PK. I want PK that I know I'll win.
Okay. When I'm looking for organic PK, what I'm really talking about is a certain brand of PK. Because I'm one of those people who says I'd really like more organic PK.
Right.
I basically what I'm really asking for is I want PK with a roleplay reason.
Yeah.
Which, so you could say that earlier you were asking for organic PK, by my definition. But I think also one of the things people don't know they're asking for, or rather they know they're asking for, they just don't have the right words, is I want PK that isn't scheduled. Because lessers and majors, for lack of better words, are a little scheduled. Only a certain amount of them
Sure.
happen every so often.
Everybody goes looking for all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get this idea. What would you say to an area where people can go and do quests, and there's two halves to each quest, so it's two sides of one coin. And then when you get to a certain point in the middle, the quest automatically sets up a battleground for the two factions, or for the two orgs of those people that they're doing the quest on behalf of. And then there's just a battlefield. It happens. The winner gets the objective of the quest, and then we go and repeat it at some other point with maybe another objective in the area. So every guild can get a turn, every city can get a turn, and it's not super scheduled. People just go and do it on repop if the reward is good enough, and if the battlefield is small enough. Because yesterday's 2v2 really got me thinking about how can we make 2v2s and 3v3s, much smaller groups, happen more often.
Right.
And that was the
Right.
idea I settled on.
Right, because the twin, for example.
Oh yeah.
I have much more fun at a twin than I do at a lesser.
Yep.
Because instead of it being, 10 versus 10, it's a couple of people, and everything that you choose to do actually matters, as opposed to you're just another body to protect whoever has the most, damage dealing.
Yeah.
So I absolutely agree that smaller groups like that are probably the key to more fun PK.
Yeah. It's just each person in that scenario is more individually important to the whole thing than just, like you said, being another body.
Red Halo, I highly recommend joining a twin. They're a lot of fun.
Twins are fun, and I do like them more than lessers or majors, but they're also not perfect. I hope they refine them some more. But
I mean,
they are fun. I even called one. I don't usually do target calling, as you guys know, but the other morning when we had a twin, I felt like it was small enough and I could track it easily enough to where I was the leader and the caller for the first time in forever. So that was cool.
Now, as for your question, Iesid, I think that that's a fine idea, and I think that that's a good example of organic PK. I should specify that my little tangent was not against the idea of organic PK. More, it's against the idea that there are absolutely people like yourself, or even like me, like I've said, where I like PK that has roleplay purpose. But there are some people who say over and over, I want organic PK, but what they mean is, I want to be able to go out and kill somebody whenever I want to with no repercussions. And that is a very real thing. I think we have fewer of them than we used to some years ago, because there are plenty of people that I would have argued would just, I want organic PK, man. I want to be able to go kill anybody anytime I want. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with an area like that where, like, you'd have to make the quest enticing enough that people who like questing are going to go do it. Somebody like me, I don't really quest, honestly, unless I'm, like, really strapped for gold. But, you'd have to make the quest appealing enough, but like you said, not something that is vital to your gameplay experience, because that's when you run into trouble.
On what Wyatt just said about island flare-ups that turn an entire area 50% more XP but open PK for half an hour is kind of interesting to me. I think it would be actually kind of cool if you let all the cities, like, go through their island reserves by having an ability to do that on command that costs a shit ton of island. I think that would be cool. There's more ways to brainstorm that. Like, that's just a basic idea from me. But I was also going to say that Alcan in chat says, at a twin, can you swap people out who come in and stuff? And I said yes. And I will also note, Alcan, twins kind of devolve sometimes into wave defense, because, like, there's been more than one time where me and Iesid and Valerie and people like that have been in there, and, like, you kill everyone in there, and then there's like 4 more new people immediately that are different than the 4 you killed and stuff. So, but it is kind of wave defensey right now too sometimes, but not always. So.
Yeah, it definitely varies. Sometimes it's just, the same people, but other times it does become like, which again, I think is fine, because at the end of the day, you can still only have 4 other people, like 4 people per tether in the actual twin itself. But I can understand why some people would feel that it sort of violates the spirit of the twin foci. Sounds like it would mostly turn into griefing people, hunting, with cities having the power. I think I don't think you're wrong, because we kind of saw that happen with people who were totally uninvolved in the war, who hadn't even gone out to a fight, but because they joined the militia, because that every city kind of encourages their citizens to do it, they got killed during the war while they were out hunting. So I definitely see that. I could see that being kind of frustrating, but again, that's why the quest would have to be enticing, but not something that will make or break your gameplay experience.
Yeah, it's like, well, as far as sounds like it would turn into griefing people hunting, well, maybe make it to where the cities that go in and do what I described have to, like, claim a bashing area. Maybe there's a cap on how many they can claim. Maybe that depends on X, Y, and Z. Maybe you can stop them from claiming it, and then if they claim it, they can use the island thing I just mentioned to, I think there's a million different ways you could go to make it interesting. I understand, though, that it would take away from people who just like the bash, especially when you have a bunch of people still trying to get 200, and then the people that have already gotten it would not have had to deal with that. I don't think that that's fair either.
Yeah, and I mean, there are people who, once they get 200, keep bashing. I know Riot is still bashing.
Right.
I don't get it, but if he's having fun, you know what? Good for him.
But I don't know. I think I just would really like to see some of this war system stuff tied into Ilum as well, because, like, honestly, we all have way too much of it. Everybody knows that. But, then you do have people that are like, well, I don't want us all to have no Ilum and then feel like we have to do it. But the thing is we already do that anyway with lessers and majors and stuff. So it's like, I don't know. I just would like to see, as a research minister of one of the 4 cities, I would like to see more use for research ministry. Because if I didn't have to do city points, I would literally have no function right now at all. So.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it's I definitely think that there's honestly, this is one of those things where it's like I'm almost certain that everything we're talking about right now is already on Ictennis's list of things that he wants to do and change and make better. Um, so I'm sort of the mind of like, it'll get there when it gets there kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like the war system's going to take time to figure out, but I trust with everything that we've seen so far of Atinis' leadership and all the Solani working underneath him, that when it is released, it'll be something worth the wait. Like, and because frankly, the event that they put out was honestly worth a lot of the wait that we had with Tior for anything to happen. So I do think that there's some, I mean, patience to be had. And because they're all obviously, when the whole group of us sent that letter to Iron Realms, our complaint was there is nothing happening in the story.
Yeah.
So I think for a long time, their focus is going to be making things happen in the world. And I think that, as we can see, that's really good for the game. It's incredibly good for the game because our playership, has grown tremendously. And these guilds and these cities are more active than I've seen them in years. So it's great to see this happening.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that these things would also, pull people in or whatever. But I do want to and this might be a controversial opinion, but whatever. I'm full of them. I do not think
Nice.
different ways of I don't want the game to lose sight of the fact that a lot of us are here because we want story. I don't want this to become a place where everybody's talking out of character on city just so that they can kill each other. Because I've heard that about other Iron Realms games,
Yeah.
and the day that happens is the day that I leave. So, it's absolutely, I want to encourage, anybody who really enjoys PK, but I do think that PK changes and stuff are best made on the like heels of this is how we can integrate storytelling and PK together. Because again, I do not want to wake up and find that, city leaders are talking out of character to each other about their systems and how to go kill people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I'd like to avoid that.
yeah, I just I think, and I've said this before, but I think it's obvious that like we have some of these mechanical things now that we didn't have before, like battlefields. And I think people need to really like take that into consideration when thinking about like what we could possibly do with like any kind of future, additions like to the island system, to the war system and stuff. We're in a much better place now than we used to be. So I think that really kind of like the world is our oyster as far as like adding new stuff to the game like that. And I think tying it all together would just make it stronger as a whole. And I hope we get there. My fear is that the war stuff's going to start back up after year 500, and like we will start another war, but we still won't have a war system improvement.
I think that people were frustrated enough that we're kind of waiting to see what happens.
They were talking about how they were already thinking about it, like the moment we ended the war. So like they have takeaways. I don't think it'll take them long to implement. They're just busy with year 500.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
I just hope we don't go into another war without it. I mean, I'm not gonna be salty or poo poo it if we do, but my hope is that something comes out before then.
Yeah, I agree. I think the war on the whole seems like it's been pretty good for us because a lot of people came back once they heard about it. Because there hadn't been anything like that. I don't think I've ever seen really a war like that in all the time that I've played. I've seen wars that were tied to events, but this was entirely player driven, which is interesting to me and good. I don't think war itself is a bad thing in terms of like the health of the game. I do think though that again it will help to have some form of objective because, like I said, nobody wants to admit that they've lost. Like that's just the bottom line.
Yep. And again, like we've talked about, that does go both ways. That's not like saying
Exactly.
anything about this last war or anything, just in general. It's good to, because neither side ever wants to admit defeat, I think you have to like mechanically, unfortunately, have a way to express that. And it is what it is. Like, but it's going to be really interesting to see how, like, what direction they take that in the future. Hey, Rowan. I'm sorry, but we're still here now.
Yes. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. But Iesid, I actually like your idea of having a quest like that as an open PK area.
Oh, yeah.
I think that that's a really cool idea. And I think
you could just pack an area like that with quests. Like
Yeah.
I would be totally cool with that. There's just like a war playground somewhere on the continent, and you can just go in and opt in to PvP whenever you want. You just have to make sure that like the way each of those quests are arranged allows for like a varying range of like participants. So people who go in looking for 1v1s or people who go in looking for 2v2s. Yeah, but Shattered Vortex doesn't have anything that like really drives anyone to give a shit about going into it, aside from an honors line.
yeah, I don't think I've ever gone into the Shattered Vortex.
It's basically a bashing area once you get the honors line. That's all it is.
It's a bashing area before you get the honors line
like,
too.
Like ultimately, it just becomes a bashing area. That's all it is. Like it's not even, honestly, it's not even a really good one comparatively to other places that are less dangerous. So
I'd be curious to see maybe an extension of like, okay, so let's say that this ceasefire is ever extending, like I think it would be cool to have an area of the world, where there's it's just sort of understood that this is constantly like the battle zone. Like we almost every city has been like, okay, this is where we'll contain our fighting to over our disagreements. It means that, maybe we have some quests there that we can do that sort of quote unquote further the war effort of that area. So maybe you're tending to soldiers that are there fighting all the time, or you're gathering things or whatever. But then it's also, if you're in this area, it's PK time. Like you can constantly be attacked. Because I think, a lot of people liked the idea that there was this constant war because they're like, why should we tolerate people that we don't, agree, why would light, tolerate shadow and, vice versa. So I think that kind of thing might be interesting, and kind of create this. It would help the world feel like it's at war without tiring all the players out by having to constantly fucking be at war with each other. Because whether, people are like, "Oh, I didn't get tired," but I promise you, if we look at the at the participation from the start of the war to the end of the war, people got tired. Fewer and fewer people were showing up to each fight, and or there would be a couple of big fights and then they'd be like, okay, we're done for the day. So like, whether or not they want to admit it, people got tired of fighting all the time.
Yep.
So we could maintain that feeling of the world constantly being in conflict with each other and cities constantly fighting against each other without it having to be, just people logging in to go, all right, well, how many times do I have to, kill this dude before I can go ahead and, do my questing that I want to do, or, I have a design I want to do, or I want to do guild role play. Scanlan has been trying to get knighted since before the war,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
only just got knighted. So
And
it's
then,
like,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I just wanted to say something like, there's some talk in chat about Ori and Iesid saying it's not a modern system. I think it's important to remember that, like, I think that's a good point, because the way I look at it is that we've taken a couple stabs, obviously, at previous areas like Ori, like, Vortex, and like Fracture. You don't need to remove them from the game, but that also doesn't mean you don't have to make another stab at it in a different way using the modern, like, we have a whole different group of people in the pools now, and they all have, I'm sure, different ideas and new ideas. So, like, I don't like the idea of being like, well, we have that in Ori, so let's not, like, I don't know. I think it's better to, like, look at the now, like what we have now, and like make something new with it, than to just not take another stab at it. Like,
I'll say to Roan here, I can see why, like, oh, it's a constant battleground with an objective. I think part of the reason why people didn't like Ori is because, to me, for example, um, it doesn't feel alive. It feels like a mechanic that was plopped into a world that oftentimes feels alive. I think that you'll get people like me who don't usually go and do quests, would probably go and do quests if the quests were something tied to, even if it's roleplay wise, even if it has no impact mechanically on my city because of my roleplay, I'll go do quests that actually make the world feel alive. Ori, to me, does not make the world feel alive, and I think that's part of the problem with it. I'm sure other people have many different problems with it, that it's it's the same thing over and over again and all that stuff, whatever. My problem with Ori is that there isn't anything that makes it really feel alive. And again, I will go back and say that the biggest problem with the 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 biggest problem with wars that are tied to, events and stuff like that, is that it's constant because it's an event and you want to win it. And then with this war, it was constant and you couldn't stop because you wanted to win it. So it basically, what I'm thinking is, I don't know. Basically, I think that the problem with PK and why a lot of people don't get into it, or why a lot of people don't really get involved in these Ori or anything like that, is that it doesn't make me give a shit about it. I don't care about Ori because it's just some big fucking telescope that I infuse an orb into. That doesn't interest me. If there were a war like this past war, I was involved with it because that's kind of what the jobs I've taken on in my guild or my city tell me to do. But I also got super involved with it because people gave me reasons to care about it. So it started with I don't think it needs to give the city resources. I don't think that quest has to have anything to do with the mechanics of the city. It's burn. I don't think it needs to be seasonal. I think this is a constant, all the time thing.
right.
It's a place where you go to do these quests, and the whole area is considered open PK. There's a bunch of quests you can do to help the people in that area that are on your side. And then it's all the time. It's not a seasonal thing. It's not something that people can burn out of, because at the end of the day, it only impacts people who are, who are there.
Yeah.
The Vortex, is my understanding, is a bashing area. I'm not suggesting a bash. I mean,
Well,
it can have bashing, I guess.
There's very subtle differences between what you're saying and Shattered Vortex. Like, I think it stands to reason that people would care more about the Vortex if it wasn't off plane, and if its lore actually had
That's
something
fair
to do
too,
with the
yeah.
current. timeline because its
With the
lore has to
current
do
one.
like its lore has to do with like they're all stuck in a time in the past. Like I think it's in like a time loop or like time doesn't move there. So like why in the, like ultimately it's never going to change by its own lore. So it's like it's kind of silly. Like I don't know. I think people kind of forget about Shattered Vortex because it's off plane. It's like I don't know. It's just it was cool for its own time when it was made, and I firmly believe that because I was around when it was made, and I had some input into the stuff when it was made. But I think that like you can have some similarities with Vortex and like put something on Sapience that people want to do and have a reason to do in the here and now, you know. But
And you're only considered open PK in the militia if you're at war. If you are actively at war, you are considered open PK in the militia. Otherwise, you aren't. You have to have a reason to go and PK somebody. So that's sort of the difference there. And I to me, Eric's has hit a nail on the head in that there's a difference between something it's very out of sight, out of mind. If you're somebody who's playing a good person and you know that there's a battlefield somewhere that you can take, if you're not accosted by PK, it takes maybe 30 minutes out of your day to go and do these quests to help people that are right there, you're going to go do it. And again, you don't have to do it. So it, I guess, maybe it is like the Shattered Vortex. I don't know. Any objective that isn't seasonal or whatever, like, maybe it is. Maybe instead of it being seasonal and that it's open all the time, maybe every season there's a list of rotating quests that change and you have to do something different to keep interest up. Maybe at some point there's, it's, yeah, and again, it's maybe you have like, okay, the season's changed, so now you have a different you have a different quest that you have to do for this area. You have different that sort of thing. And I think that could work out really well. I just think okay, actually I think I know sort of what my biggest issue is. I don't think that the vortex is something that at the end of the day, and unfortunately a lot of the things that we do at the end of the day, we don't feel like we have any real impact on the world around us. So, like, we can do all these quests and we can go into the vortex or whatever. And at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like we have changed anything or impacted the world. I think it could be interesting if we created an area where we had all these quests and maybe, you do something kind of like Sect at the end of the year or at the end of the season or whatever. You tally up which side has done the most of these quests or whatever. And you go, okay, so in this battlefield right now, this side has kind of the upper hand for the next, season during the fighting. And then you kind of feel like what you're doing has some sway and impact on the world. Because right now, to have any sway or real impact on the world, we have to go through admin.
Yep. I think that's
We're not back to describing Ori. Ori gives you a meaningless buff at noon.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about
Noon buff is not meaningless.
Okay.
Noon buff is really good.
It's good for 5 minutes is what it's good for. Yeah.
It gives you a buff at noon.
5 minutes is a fight, man.
Trust me, I know. That's when I had it when I killed Weirin while he was proposing.
But that's what I mean. Is like I think you're thinking about this in terms of just the mechanics, whereas I'm sort of thinking about it as I would care more about this if I felt that it had any impact on the story of the world around me. Ori does not impact the story of the world around me. Right. It lets Eric's go get an easy kill on a proposing man.
That's right.
Or it lets Iesid win a fight that he's in, or it lets me win a fight that I'm in, but it doesn't change the landscape of the story for me or anybody around me. Somebody's life, an NPC's life is not improved because of, something that I did to get me a buff at noon. I feel it would be more interesting if, you had this area, you had this battlefield, even if it was something like entering a battlefield, where then there's quests in that battlefield and that kind of thing. I think that would be fine. But it would be interesting to see, like, okay, let's say you have this battlefield, right? And there's, you have seasons that you go through, and, so-and-so gets the upper hand in this battlefield. If for enough seasons consecutively, let's say for, 3 seasons consecutively, Spirit gets the upper hand in these fights, the battlefield changes. That battlefield has been won. And then it opens up in a different area of the world. Well, then, okay, this is where the battlefield is now. And then that kind of thing. And then I just think that there are ways in which we should be able to impact the world around us that we don't really have the ability to do.
Yeah.
So I guess, Rowan, for me, it's that the reward is different. I don't give a shit about a buff at noon.
Yeah. But the thing
Like-
is like, there has to be a balance to that, like everybody says, and it's like if the reward is too good, then it feels like work, but then if the reward continues to be what it is right now, then it's pointless. And I don't think that the balance is there for the Shattered Vortex, the Fracture, or the Orrery. Like, I think that the rewards are too weak. That's why no one cares about them. Honestly, as some people know, I actually did care about Fracture for a long, long time, and I was like the only one doing it, and it was like, but you have to have this pretty expensive combination of things in order to care about Fracture. So, I don't know. The whole thing's wild. I just think that we could do with things that are more impactful in their reward and their requirement without also making it feel like a job. I don't know.
I don't know. I understand why people gravitate towards buffs as rewards for things, but I as a player, and I'm willing to bet that there are other players, don't particularly would rather have some impact on the story of the world rather than, a buff at noon.
Yeah. Well-
So, like, if we just keep going back to these, well, you can get mini pets, or you can get special currency, or you can get a buff at noon, it's like, I don't care about any of that. So you have people that will care about that, of course. But I do think that if it doesn't have any real staying power, because eventually you're going to get that mini pet, or you're going to get anything you want with that special currency, and then the area that you're in loses its momentum because the people get what they want from it, and then why would you go back?
Yeah, but like Wyatt said in chat, we're kind of going in circles here a bit. Yeah, I mean, we all have different opinions about this, and I think that it's important to all have different opinions about it, so that the people in charge of making decisions have all the different input to make their own considerations about it. I just would say that I don't think we should be afraid to do new things just because we have similar things that are in the game from the past. That's the way I look at it. But did you guys want to circle back finally to year 500 stuff, or is there anything else you want to talk about?
We can circle back.
I think there's like some kind of like event starting or brewing or something, which is strange in year 500. But like, I'm finding that at least in Durin, we found like a bunch of dead Albedi cultists in villages.
Yeah, I was informed about that, and it's started to happen. So I'm interested to see how people wind up dealing with it. Because I do think that different areas are going to have different solutions to, like, for example, Spine's Rage, I don't think is going to give a shit because they're very anti-Albedi. And Bloodlock is probably not going to give a shit because they're anti-Albedi. and I'm interested to see how the different cities respond to this sort of thing.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I've heard of the bodies, but I haven't seen one yet. I also wonder if it has anything to do with the weirdness that's in the Templar Guild Hall in the training courtyard. Have you seen that yet, Rasani?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. It's just there, and we have no idea how to figure out why or anything. Yeah. So I think there's definitely omens going on. Yeah, the puddle. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I think like you said, we're beginning to go back into things here. And I'm really looking forward to it. That's the kind of stuff I like more than some of this year 500 stuff. But I like that we have everything for everyone, though.
I'm interested to see what happens with the puddle. The Vanguard kind of put me in charge of looking into the Albeti thing, so I'm curious as to what I can do and find. I am also kind of like, I'm hoping that there's actual stuff you can find, because kind of some of the problem we've had in the past with these events, like the cultists, for example, is that they just showed up, did something, and there's fuck all we could do about it. And then we don't have any threads to follow to get us anywhere. And that's really frustrating when you don't, no matter how, how much you think about it and any clues you try to find, you just kind of end up being told there's nothing here for you to find, go to hell. And like that is really frustrating. So I'm hoping that we can start to find clues that lead us to, what's going on and who did this and that kind of thing. Which again is a more alive world than sometimes we get. And I know that it's very hard to do that kind of stuff. And I know that, the Solani are busy and that sort of thing, but, I'm hoping that we can figure some things out.
Yep. I do find it strange too how it seems like the last few times we've dealt with the Albedi, it's just like they just kind of vanish at the end of it all. Like we don't get any kind of like, I don't know. It's weird. It's like, oh, there's this epic stuff, and then he just vanishes in the mist.
Well, I think that that's sort of like, I think it's meant to instill in us the fact that we're nothing to these gods. Because, like, Hiva, for example, made Bamathus look like a fucking idiot and then just vanished. And Yavalamon, again, made Bamathus look like a fucking idiot and then vanished. So I think that we're kind of in a situation where, like, is the intent is to show us, hey, these gods are so unconcerned by what you've tried to do here that they just left. And I think it's different for each god. Like, Yavalamon probably left because if Severin hadn't come in, he might have died. It was strictly Hearn's sorrow that gave him the strength to escape. Hiva left without any attempt to do anything other than stop Bamathus from killing her followers. So I think each one leaving is sort of a different show of power. Hiva sort of showing, I'm not going to kill you, mortals, because you're just doing what you're being told. And I have, I have no ill will against you. Versus Yavalamon, who is like, I'll probably come back, but honestly, you guys might kill yourselves. You might kill each other at this point. So that's sort of my feeling, but also why it brings up a good point is like, I don't know what you want them to do.
Do you want Bamathus to actually do something, like to actually have a win, even though I don't like him in character? Like, it seems really bizarre to me that he never kills any of them, even though that's his whole point as a character.
Right, but none of our gods have ever done it alone, and he keeps trying to. or when he asks people to help him, he betrays them. I think
Right.
that's the point that the admin are trying to make, is that unless Bamathis, the only one I've ever seen killed, the only Albedi I've ever seen, because I wasn't around for the War of Night, the only one I ever saw killed was Jox, and Varian had to come down and do it. So this again is trying to prove to us this is how strong they are. That Bamathis, whose whole purpose is to kill Albedi gods, is not enough to do it.
They used to be stronger.
The Albedi?
Maybe variant. No, the sapient gods. But like, my understanding is that like if Bamathis can't do it, maybe variant just doesn't make him like he used to.
Right.
Like,
Old grade marriage just ain't what she used to be.
Well, I mean, I think, to me, looking at it from like a narrative perspective, the point is supposed to be that Bamathis is too proud. He won't ask for help, and when he does, he betrays the person he asks for help. So, like, to me, that's a very clear story of a guy who needs help and needs to not be a sneaky little backstabber about it. So, it's one of those things where, to me, that tells a very clear story. That Bamathis keeps fucking up because he's still a new god. He's still learning how to do it, and he still thinks he can do it all by himself. And, that's what it is. And, and not for nothing, but he's also only faced 2 Albedi gods. And one of them left before he could actually even fight it. This is the only one he's actually gotten to really fight and swing a sword at. And so, I don't know if I buy into the, Bamathis hadn't had a win yet. He's only had 2 options for it, and one of them just left because she wasn't interested in fighting him. She was just trying to protect her worshippers.
Mm-hmm.
So, swing a hammer. My apologies. I thought he had a sword.
This last time he had a hammer. But yeah, like...
This last time he had a hammer.
Ethne, I was there, like, in the order with you when Ethne made him a sword. Like...
Yes, I remember. I helped her design it.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was odd too when I saw the last event where he had a hammer all of a sudden. But
yeah. Ah, well. Maybe he broke it.
Yeah, we know your thoughts on how he, handles his
keeps
equipment.
breaking his weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Bamathis thing is, I think he'll get a win when he actually truthfully works with his siblings.
Truthfully?
Because he hasn't yet. Yeah. I think he needs to learn something from Damariel. Honest to God, I think that when he works with Damariel,
right,
and Damariel demands the truth from him, he may actually get that W. But, it's... I think that's kind of the lesson he's supposed to be learning. I think it's a good lesson for him to learn. Yeah, play well with others. Didi, exactly.
Didi has infinite wisdom all the time.
The lesson he's supposed to be learning is that he has to play well with others, and he's not doing it.
I would love to see. I would love to see Bamathis go up to Didi and be like, "I hear you're very wise."
Yeah, I hear you know the secret to defeating the Albedi.
And then she'll say like hugs, and then say play well with others, and he'll learn the truth.
Yeah, Bamathis will become a good guy. Because Didi will have taught him how to be nice.
Right, exactly. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked a bit about lore and Y500 and stuff. Like I mentioned, there hasn't been as much to talk. Like, I thought we would have less to talk about than we did, to be honest here. And we can keep going if you all want, but I wanted to note that anybody that's in chat that hasn't entered the giveaway, type exclamation ticket and you can enter to win 50 credits. But yeah, let's see what happens. Oh, I'm trying to pay attention to chat and also not die in Takana. So when I keep
keep seeing you get low health here.
Yep. I don't have chocolates right now active, so I'm just trying this for the hell of it. When I went the other day, I had no chocolates and no blessing, and I got like crushed by one of them. But I have a blessing finally, so maybe I won't
The
die.
elephant there is a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Like I told Isia in character, an elephant never forgets. And she's killed a lot of them, so
Yeah.
edgy. Listen, I've told people before that I'm edgy, and they never believe me, and they always make fun of me when
Oh,
I say
I
it.
believe you.
I'm edgy in my own way. It might not be in your face with nipple rings or anything, but what can
Now
you
that's
do?
a Siren special.
Right. It's because you're blonde. I was telling somebody on Discord the other day that like I was playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I was like, Cloud Strife is kind of like Eric's, except shorter hair.
Emo?
Yeah. I don't know.
Cloud Strife is emo as shit.
Yeah. The person I told was like, I don't know. Eric's is a lot more like broad shouldered and muscular. I was like, that's nice, I guess.
Well, Rasani wouldn't call him that, but she's also an 8-foot tall fucking brick wall of troll, so you can't really take her opinion on the matter.
Right. Fair enough. Also,
That's my favorite thing playing Rasani, is going up to somebody who's like 6 feet tall, and she's like, "You're kind of small, huh?"
Right? Yeah. Someone told me in character the other day a little factoid that I either didn't know or had forgotten, but I think the color of my hair came up again, and the character told me, "Oh, Lord Arion had blonde hair too, or golden hair or something like that." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Did not know that."
Yeah, I think doesn't Bamathus also, because he's an Ankirian, or did they have white hair? I don't remember.
I'm not sure either. That's an interesting lore question.
It isn't. I don't look at Bamathus usually because when he shows up, he is going to kill me. So I've never really had the opportunity to take a peek at him.
I actually have all the gods' descriptions in a notepad from when I had a hand mirror.
Nice. I keep considering getting one just because I do a lot of crafting around the gods.
Yeah.
But I can usually find somebody to let me borrow it.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if I'm willing to pay the cash for it. But
Yeah.
I did finally buy a cane of quickening. That's been nice as a Templar to have.
Yeah,
that.
I didn't know that existed until somebody mentioned it the other day in web.
It's very nice. I did not. I didn't realize how much of my PK was kind of damaged by my inability to run away without having that cane. Like that
Right.
cane really is like a very, very good PK item to buy.
Yep.
So I'm glad I purchased it. It was well worth it.
Yep. I'm torn. I've managed to save up, a bunch of credits the last month or two via like milestones and like getting lucky with the Ironbeard, and like I bought 400 mostly just to get the gift bags, and then realized, hey, I have 400 credits now too. And then I'm thinking about building my first castle. I've had access to other people's, but I've never had my own on any game, so been thinking about doing that recently. I actually already talked to Sryan about it in character to pick a spot, so because you actually,
Right.
I don't know if people know this, that also don't have castles, but you have to actually ask one of the city council members if you have it in a city, or want
Yes.
to have it in a city.
But and Enorian is particularly strict, because we try to keep things kind of like thematic. Like we don't want you building a mansion in Stonebridge because it's kind of like the working
Right.
man's district. And I had somebody when I was development minister get pissed about that. They were like, "I want my like fucking 20-room mansion in Stonebridge," and we were like, "No." Like and we role played it out. We were like, "No," because to build something like this, we have to tear down the houses of people who already live here,
Right.
and we're not doing that for you. You can go build in like the Sunset District or the Sunrise District, any place, but like Stonebridge is very humble, and I really like that. I don't know if the other cities do that.
Shit.
But I really do enjoy that Enorian kind of tries to keep things thematically,
I'm dead.
accurate.
I knew that was about to happen. I just didn't
Oof.
react. I didn't react fast enough. That's okay.
All those corpses, that sucks though. That's a lot of essence.
I can get them back. Actually, believe it or not, I don't think the Takana corpses give much essence.
Really? You'd
yeah.
think they would.
Well, you think they would, but I think they made that change intentionally because, like, I've offered them and then checked my own essence log, and it's like very little. Also, they only give 1 island per offering to the city, which is not.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, that's.
Well,
but
like,
I'm more.
Yeah, but yeah,
That's
I'll
still a
show
lot
it
of
here in a
corpses,
second.
though.
When I get back, I'll go there and hopefully somebody hasn't stream sniped me to pick my corpses.
Right, to go get your corpses. Yeah, it's I like that about the Iesid. Does Duran do anything like that
For
for housing? Like trying to keep like with like. I guess.
I wish they did. This map is a mess.
Right.
Right, because like I guess for me it was like it just felt so gross to have somebody be like, well, I'm gonna build a mansion in Stonebridge in the middle of like the workers' neighborhoods where it's all these humble houses and kids running around. Some guy wants to have his fortress there. Like, of course, people could do whatever they want, but like, it's a giant tree. Everybody should have to have tree houses in Duran. What the hell? Just tree houses as far as the eye can see.
Oh, that's an interesting bug. I didn't know that. So,
What?
as you guys might have noticed, I turn my tells off after or before a stream, typically. And I did this time because I remember doing it. And now that I've died and come back, Isia can give me tells.
Huh.
Wouldn't you know it?
What do you know?
But yeah, my corpses are where they are. But yeah, I was gonna say my house, or I've wanted to have my castle, like, honestly, I wanted to have it in the Dawambi Tower, but honestly, obviously that's never gonna happen. So I was gonna
Yeah.
settle for having it near it. And then I was looking at it, I'm like, wow, that's actually, like, the Dawambi Tower is actually near the Vigil anyway. So, I'm probably going to have it be in one of those 2 garden rooms that are near, like, between the Vigil and the tower. So
Right.
to the north of it.
Yeah, I when I built my house, I considered for a little bit having it close to the Templar, but like a stone bridge. I honestly, when I joined in Orion, there were a lot of sort of little stone bridge mini RP events that kind of endeared Rasani to the area, and it's a bunch of trolls and orcs and ogres and shit. So like and Mun, there's a lot of Mun there too. So it was like, I don't know, it just wound up being perfect. And I love my little house over there. I think I've got something like maybe 5 rooms or something. I'm not sure. And it's just a nice little, 2-story house. It's good. I like it a lot, and I like the, I like the feeling of it. Yes, yeah. The well, because they all the descriptions kind of have all those Dunite races as very it takes a village, so you're all working together constantly to help each other and raise kids and stuff like that. Especially with the alleyway that's been put in there, it's all very nice. I love Stonebridge. It's probably my favorite area of Enorian, easily.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna step out, guys.
Okay.
I hope
Sure.
everyone has a great rest of your day, and
Yeah.
enjoy the brawl in a little while, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. See ya. All right. Let me fix that real quick. Gotta find his name in the thing here and make it invisible again.
In the big mess. Does anybody in the chat have a topic you want us to discuss before we head off? I won't even make you use your little your lemon stick stuff.
I know. You're so generous.
I know, right? Save that for when you want to try and get Eric to talk in character.
Listen, if you'll notice, Rasani, click the island shards. I deleted that reward.
You deleted that? That's so mean.
Like
People
weeks
love
ago.
that one.
No, nobody was doing it. So, like, like anytime
I'm pretty
somebody
sure
used it.
Wyatt did it like twice.
No, I mean like when people would redeem it, they wouldn't do it. So
Oh, I just can't. Oh, I absolutely answered every question, in character. I just can't get my voice that deep.
well,
Like
fair
I
enough.
just can't lower my voice that much. But I absolutely answered every character, every question in character that I was asked to answer that way. Oh, you were saving for it. I'm sorry, Kirak. I'll bully him into putting it back. Don't worry.
You're not gonna bully me.
Well, I'm gonna just ask you to put it back because
Okay.
people liked it.
That's fair.
That's what I mean by bully you to do it.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
But you know,
I need to come up with some more rewards. If anybody has any idea for channel point rewards like that, just let me know. I'm pretty open to doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
I just I love the idea, like the whole story time thing kind of came from my friend Gamut's stream because he had a whole list of like story topics from his life that he had like in a document, and then you could like redeem a story of your choice, and he would tell the whole stream about the time he did X, Y, and Z. And
Oh yeah.
but ours is a little different. I literally is just open to the person, whatever story they want to tell, and it doesn't have to be related to the game. So
Wyatt, you can go ahead and spend all those points.
sorry, Wyatt. I'm just like trying to show the gameplay, you know, like
Trying to be a professional gaming streamer.
damn, son. Wyatt's been on my, you know what, the last month or so. It's been pretty brutal. Like,
Oh, it's because he's a cowboy.
I guess
He's just they're kind of ruffians.
it's all right. It's all right. I'm trying to do better.
He's just doing some rootin' tootin' cowboy shooting.
I mean, that's what he does, you know?
Yeah.
It is what it is. We all do what we're meant to do, so.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. I was surprised in the Christmas thing that he wasn't just Woody. I kind of expected him to just be Woody. But yeah, I mean, if you guys don't have any topics or questions or whichever, we've sort of gotten through a little bit of the year 500. We haven't gotten through most of it. We do seem to have, you know, some just photoshopped in Woody. Yeah, that creepy picture of Woody that people use as a reaction image. I kind of expected that. But if any of you have any topics, hit us with them. But I'm hoping that by the next time we're here, some different stuff will have happened, obviously, in year 500, but maybe a little bit more will have happened on this outdated cultist thing. We'll be able to talk about that. You know, as always, I definitely, you know, if you have anything you want us to talk about, just tell us. We're just some idiots on a stream.
Listen.
So, hey, I'm in that idiots.
I know.
Like,
but that doesn't mean I want to join you there. I don't know. I'm an idiot too. It's fine.
But it, you know, I'm very excited for how things are going. The game is livelier than it's ever been. There's a lot of stuff going on. Ictinus and the crew are doing a really great job.
Yeah.
I'm just very, very pleased with how it's all going. The Templar has the most people in the guild that I've ever seen, and I hope that every guild is having this resurgence. I hope that every guild is benefiting from this influx of players that we're getting. You know, it's good. It's really healthy to see it happening. I'm very, very pleased. For a game that I was getting very, very close to leaving before this change and everything happened, it is really fantastic to see it being healthy again.
Yeah. Big turnaround as always. I do feel like in the past week, some of us, well, a lot of us on the forums and in webs and in discords and stuff have been a little salty. And I'm no exception. I get a little salty sometimes at things like anyone else. But I think it's important to remember that everybody that's like working on these events are really trying hard to make sure that they're good and new and different and updated and stuff. And if you don't like one thing, chances are you'll like another. And I feel like when things happen that are negative, they do try to learn from it. And I think I think that that's important to remember. And
Wyatt says
Durif,
we had 106 people on last night.
wow, damn, I didn't notice that. I wasn't. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
I was gonna say Durif did win the credit giveaway. I gave him the credits in the spam here. We actually only have 50 credits left of the 1,000 that we were given. So there's a bit of stream news here, in that we've got 50 credits left. I can probably start using my own again, but I would really like to not have to do that.
When does because we get the stream gets money for ads, right? Are we
Right.
not just going to use that to buy credits?
Well, here's the way Twitch works, and I didn't know this until we got affiliate on here because I'd never gotten affiliate before on any channel.
Right.
In order to do a payout of all the money you get, you have to have at least 100 saved up, and we're not quite there yet.
I see.
Yeah, thank you, Droog of Noon. I'm not trying to beg for subs right now, but I just wanted to explain how it works. So like right now, let me pull it up here. We have about 8 subscribers after Droog of Noon did that, and in order for this stream to get $100 a month to then buy 300 credits and give them away, we'd have to have about like 38 subscribers.
I see.
Because of the way the money falls, because when you give $5 on Twitch with a sub, you only get about 262 of that.
Right, because half of it goes to Twitch.
So I did the math, and 262 times 38 or so is 100. But we average about 8 to 10 subscribers a month, which is great. That's great for a stream that's not even been around a year. But that's where we are with that. And until we get to that cash out, I'll probably will use my own credits. But that's just the stats on how that works. I just wanted to, mention that. Also, I have been in December pretty terrible at uploading the VODs to YouTube. I would just forget about it and stuff like that because it's kind of a bit of a pain in the butt to go in and remember it and have to do all this stuff. But I asked my friend, I have this friend of mine I mentioned earlier. He's known me since I was like a teenager. He's a little older than me. He was good friends with my brother. And he's like a programmer, like a lot of you, but he's done it professionally and stuff like that for a long, long, long time. And I asked him last night, I was like, hey, is there any way you could make me a program that does this easier than having to go in all these menus? So he's going to actually look into making me a tool just for me that can I can just click it or open it or whatever once we're done with the stream, and then it'll just upload the VOD for me. So
nice.
He's going to be working on that for me as of today. So it'll make it to where the VODs are much more consistently uploaded like they should be. Because I had a particular Solani tell me, they were like, hey, where is the Aline and the Ictennis episodes on YouTube? I was like, oh shit, I forgot. And
and the Aline one's such a good one.
I know, and unfortunately, because I forgot, we lost that one.
Because no.
They are deleted after 2 weeks. That's just what Twitch does. Like, if you don't do anything with them, they're deleted after 14 days.
That's a bummer. That was a great one.
But yeah, like Rowan said in chat, if you have Amazon Prime, you have a free sub to any Twitch channel every month. And you can link your Amazon Prime to your Twitch, and you can use it on whatever you want. I do that for my friend Gamut. That's how I sub to him every month. But yeah, that's one option. I just wanted to let you all know what's going on with the stream. We still need to do the emotes and stuff. I just haven't had time, and I don't know anybody that would be willing to do the art for us for that. So, but there's tons of artists in Aetolia's community. Maybe somebody will be willing to help me with it. So,
there we go. All right.
But yeah, let's get out of here. There's stuff to do. Yeah. The Brawl's coming up. Howling is coming up. We will see you next. Well, I may actually elect not to do a stream next weekend because I want to do the Great Hunt the whole fucking time. So,
I see.
But we'll think about that.
Maybe if you can figure out how to let me in, I will see if I can get somebody on because I don't give a good goddamn about the Great Hunt. So if we can figure it out, maybe I'll do a solo mish next week.
Yeah,
And,
Drew. I mean, I can also just do it if other people want to lead the stream, and I can just be silent the whole time. That's
Yeah, that's fine. You could just put it on, and I'll ask around, see who would be interested in coming on and talking with me. And we'll figure out what to talk about. It'll be good.
Yep. But yeah, let's get out of here. You guys have a good week. We will see you next time. Thanks for coming.
All right.
See you in game. Bye.
Bye.